Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Ramblings of an Insomniac. I am Courtney. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. I hope you are enjoying your day. I know that in my neck of the woods, it is beautiful. B-E-A, beautiful. It's so awesome out, and I have been enjoying it. I have been watering the lawn and taking care of the plants and taking the dogs on a walk and running some errands and all that good stuff. And I'm about ready to go back on a walk soon. So I'm happy, and I'm happy when it's weather that I can work on my yard in, because man, when you see other people's yards, pardon me, sorry, and you see how immaculate they are, those people that have the yards with like really green grass and like the edges are all sharp and crisp, and they have flowers, and the flowers are all like very maintenanced and manicured, and they've got fresh new bark dust or freshly tilled dirt, and it just always looks immaculate. I used to be like, man, how in the hell can people do that? Like, well, my neighbor, I used to say that to them. I'm like, gosh, your yard's so beautiful. I wish I could have that. And he's like, honey, and he's an older man, so he wasn't being like weird, but he didn't say honey, actually. He was like, Courtney, I'm retired, so I have time. You work full time. You work overtime. So you don't have the time that I do to spend on the yard. He's like, my yard did not look like this when I worked full time, when I had, other things on my plate. He's like, not only do you work overtime, but you have other things that have come up. You've had a very chaotic life. And so I talked about this on my last couple of episodes, that it's so refreshing to I've been looking up on Pinterest. I don't know if people still use Pinterest. I love Pinterest. I think it's awesome, and I'll never forget, I heard it about Pinterest through Reese Witherspoon on some Oprah thing way back before Oprah was she's always been a psychopath, I'm sure, but I never loved her. I never thought she was as great as everybody else did, but I do admit that I liked her, though, or at least I liked the show. I always thought she was a little off. I mean that sincerely. I've said that to people. But I did like her, but I always thought something was off. But anyways, I'll never forget Reese Witherspoon talking about Pinterest, and this has been oh my God, 25 years ago. Seriously. 25 years ago, something like that I heard about it. And I was like, Pinterest? And then I kept hearing people talk about it, and I'm like, all right, I'll check this out. We'll see what this Pinterest is. And I loved it, and I got addicted to it. And then I took a really long break, and now I'm back into it again, because the reason I took a long break was working a lot of overtime and having my life be one thing after another. And I just, the last thing on my mind was trying to figure out how to, do the yard any more than I could. So now I love that I can go through and look at Pinterest and look at pictures and be like, I still have a job, I work, I can't, but it's nothing like I did. And I'm hoping eventually that when I do work, it'll be at my home. So, I'll have more time. So, isn't that time, That's the thing that that's a hot commodity, time. We all think we have more than we do. And I don't mean to be a bummer, and I'm not trying to be a buzzkill. Sorry if you hear a dog in the background drinking some water. We play a game called Spicy Jalapeno. It's not a real jalapeno. It's a toy that looks like a jalapeno, a dog toy that looks like a jalapeno. And we play a little game with it, and it cracks me up, and we call it Spicy Jalapeno. And so they're a little bit pooped out, but anyway, pardon me. When you're young, especially, you think you have a ton of it, and it seems like you do, but then the cliche is so true. You don't realize how fast time flies. You don't realize that, 1 minute you're in kindergarten and you think that like 12 years old is ancient, double digits is like ancient. And then you become a teenager and you think 25 is like older than crap. And, slowly the bar keeps moving. All right, take a break, Bubba. I don't want you to get bloated. Hey, I want you to have water, but you got to take a little bit of a break. Anyway, good boy. You're not in trouble. But it's weird, the bar kind of, keeps getting pushed back the older that you get. And you realize, wow, time is important. Time is precious. Time is something you don't get back. And it's something not to be taken for granted. And we all get told this by, people that are older, people that know, people that we should be listening to, but of course never do, because we always think we know what we're doing. Why is that? We do. We think that we know more than the people who have been through it. People that have been there, done that, and multiple people will tell us something who have been there, done that. It won't be just one person, or two people. It'll be many people. And we still are like, yeah. And then, learn by doing. We aren't all like that, of course. God, man, I really, I look at the people that are like Tom Cruise, that have that adrenaline thing where they just seem like, it's so scary. People like that, I would hate to be the parent of a child that has that, like, no fear. Because that's scary, obviously, if or they have fear. I think it's not that they don't have fear. That's the thing, is they like the feeling of the fear. So it's the opposite. They have the fear, but that adrenaline and that being scared, and also is that excitement, and having a child like that, that is involved in like X Games, like all those extreme sports, or that do stunt, they work as stuntmen or whatever. And the people like, what's his name? Is it Alex? He does like the free climbing, where he climbs, he base climbs, and he does it without any equipment whatsoever. He's not attached to the mountain. He climbs like the faces of things, and he's not attached at all. He just uses his feet and hands. And, it's like, how do you live as a parent with a child like that? But at the same time, it's like, wow, how amazing that there are people out there that are like, look, we're only in this body, however you want to look at it, whatever your religion is, whatever your belief is, but, we're in at least this body one time, and why not use it? Why not feel that rush? Gosh, pardon me. Why not feel that adrenaline, go out and live? And I am in some ways a little bit like that. Like, I'll eat different foods, I'll try different things, and I'll, go to different countries and try different customs, but I am not an adrenaline junkie. I'm very much that's not safe. Guys, hey guys. I've always been I've done some things, like I've snuck out, and unfortunately I've done some stupid shit, like my friend and I, shout out to April if you happen to be listening. What? We thought it'd be a genius move my parents had just got a brand new car. It was a Pontiac Grand Prix, which back then was fucking awesome. It was like 1989 or some shit like that. And, pardon me. And we thought that this car was still to this day, it's like my favorite car they ever had. That thing was aerodynamic as fuck and handled corners amazingly. I'm talking, I felt like a NASCAR driver. You could go so fast. Well, I didn't feel like a NASCAR driver because, gosh, pardon me, I paused to take some water so I wouldn't keep clearing my throat, but dang. But that thing handled corners, and you would be going 80 and not even realize it. You genuinely would have no idea until you look down at the speedometer, and it's a digital one, so it said it like right there. And you're like, what? I'm going 80, and I'm not kidding you. It felt like you were going like 50. That thing cut through. I love that thing. I don't know why they didn't continue making them, because that thing was fucking awesome. But anyway, so my parents had just got that, and we lived in a smaller town at the time where everybody knew everybody. And for whatever reason, we didn't feel like walking our asses to the store, which actually would have taken us probably 20 minutes maybe to walk there and 20 minutes back. Okay. And we were young. But we didn't feel like it. And my parents had left the keys to the car. So long story short, we thought that it would be a genius idea to take my mom's car, and I drove there and then she drove on the way back. And I had never even been behind the wheel of a car other than like just sitting behind like, like I used to drive, I used to ride ATVs, like three-wheelers all the time. But I hadn't like driven, and then like stupid stuff like on the beach, I'd been behind the wheel like on the beach, but not like on the road, because I, unlike every other teenager in the world, had zero desire to get my driver's license. I was in no hurry. I was such little, I was like, I don't trust 16-year-olds. I don't want to be out on the road. I wish that there was a way to get around without driving. I mean, I could take the bike, but I lived in a very rainy area and incredibly windy. And so it just, wasn't very feasible. But point being, we thought it would be smart for us to drive the car in a teeny town without driver's licenses. We did not have driver's licenses, and my parents brand new. They had it for, I don't know, like a week. I'm not kidding. Yeah, well, we got there. All was well. We were on our way back, and my other friend's mom just happened to be driving by because she lived in the same forkin town that we did. And again, like I mentioned earlier, teeny town, small town, very small. And we thought, oh crap, this is not going to go well. This time she was driving. And again, because we're morons, and this is what you do when you're a moron, we thought that, I don't know what we thought, actually. I don't think, the problem is we weren't thinking. That's the issue from this entire beginning of the story. We just were not thinking. And we were driving along, and in the road that we were on, the speed limit was 10 miles an hour, for real, 10 miles an hour. And so we were like going real slow. And she comes by the other way, and we were getting ready to turn onto my little road. And she drives by and she can see us, and she's like, what the fuck? And she's looking right at us, and we sit there, and as she's going past and we're going past, we're just staring at each other, and she's looking at us like, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? Because she knows our age, and she knows we don't have driver's licenses. So, that's not good. So, of course, she now goes down the road, finds a spot to pull over, gets, and follows me. She goes to my house because we continue driving to my house, and we're there. And she's, of course, talks to us. Well, point being to all of that, gosh, see, I almost started digressing. The point to all of that is I've never been a real, woohoo, but I've done some shit. I have done some shit. And by the way, shout out to Allison's mom, Donna. If you're listening, Donna, you're fucking awesome, because she never said a word to my parents. She gave us the whole, I'm disappointed, this is dangerous, you shouldn't risk this, don't do that, blah, 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 and all that. But she never told my parents, and that was pretty awesome. We weren't like drinking or anything like that, and she knew we were mortified. We felt so stupid. So, oh God, I think of things like that though, and I'm like, man, like if I had a kid who was like Tom Cruise, or these people that have these adrenaline, rushes and go out and do these crazy things, I'm like, I would be so fucking scared shitless all the time. Like all the time, I would be a nervous wreck. I would never relax. I would always be thinking that this is the day. But again, I would also be like, but fuck yeah, good for them for like living life, for like feeling, for having that deep, like, just truly living life, and experiencing things, and like knowing that even though you're scared, even though it freaks you out, you're still going to do it anyway. You're still going to try. And there is a huge difference between doing something that is, of course, under like, as in, so we all know that skydiving is obviously a dangerous thing and there's the potential of dying, but you are strapped to people who are professionals, and you are around people that are professionals. You are in planes that are certified. You are with equipment that is certified. Or, if you are bungee jumping or whatever it is, you're doing this with professionals and equipment that's professional and that gear that is checked. Like, that's different to me than being like, oh, I'm going to go and light fireworks at each other and throw M80s at each other. Like, that's just being fucking dumb. That's not like living life. That's just being an idiot. And I'm not talking about that stuff. Like, I'm going to go drink and drive. I'm going to go 900 miles down the road and risk other people's lives. I'm not talking about that stuff. But I just don't have that. I wish that I did. Like, my living life is going out and finding like calm and serenity. Like, I do love to go fast. I do like that, I admit. Like, I love, like, if there's a straight stretch and I'm in a car that I feel like handles well and everything and isn't going to like, I don't know. I love to go fast, but only if I'm driving, not if other people are, because again, control freak, and love the idea of a motorcycle so much. Love the idea of it. Love that exhilarating feeling. The only thing I like about flying, the only thing is, when you are careening down the runway right before you ascend. Love that. But, I went to those indoor skydiving things, and I loved it as long as I had something covering my face so that the wind didn't get in my face. That makes me panicky. That makes me panicky as fuck. I cannot, like, it gives me massive anxiety when wind is in my face. I hate that. I'm not someone that's down with wind. I mean, I love the idea of it. I love it when I'm inside. I love a good storm with wind, but not when or if I'm turned around, I just don't want wind in my face. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to stick my head at a car window like dogs do. And so the indoor skydiving thing, that was awesome. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So the problem was I had to wear a helmet thingy that had a mask so that the wind didn't get in my face. And that made me panicky because another lovely quirk about me, super claustrophobic. And I don't want that shit on me. So, but I had to be like, do I want that or the wind? But once I did that, I loved it. It was so fun. I had to like let go for a second. I had to get rid of that butterfly tickling in the stomach feeling that I don't like. I hate that tickling stomach feeling. But no. And I've done the dog bite suit. I've done that and I loved it. That was super adrenaline rush, and it was Malinois, a trained Malinois. And that was adrenaline rush. And I love things like, boxing and hockey and that kind of stuff, but I am not, and like playing that kind of stuff. Martial arts and that kind of thing, but I'm not going to go, I probably won't do real skydiving, and I'm not going to go trying to climb a cliff without gear, and I'm not going to bungee jump. No. But man, if you do that stuff, that's freaking awesome. I'm going to like ride a horse and go roll around in a field and chase bugs, but that's my adrenaline. That's my high. But we all have our thing, right? That's me. Who cares? We all have different things, different strokes for different folks, right? And that's what makes this world so freaking awesome, is all of the customs and the different people out there, the different foods out there, the different terrain, It's kind of what I love about the United States is we've got, valleys, we have mountains, we have oceans, we have desert, we have forest. We've got a little bit of everything, And we also have a lot of nice people. And I say that because, I've talked about this. I've taken a break from social media because my algorithm was caught in this such negative vortex. And I really started just not liking humans at all. And I started getting really hateful and judgmental and dark and just negative. And it was oozing out of me to where it was affecting, others. And I don't like that. And that's not me. I am an accepting person. I really, really mean this when I say I do not care what someone's political affiliation is, what someone identifies as, what their religion is, what their gender is, or what they identify as. I care if you are an asshole or not. That's what I care about. And I will take the time to listen to a stranger. I will take the time to talk to a stranger. I will take the time to hear someone out. And I was just starting to feel like the world was just evil. And it is. There are a lot of evil people. And there certainly is a lot of chaos right now and a lot of anger and a lot of, not great things going on. That is for sure. But I have a family and friends, and I have a home, and I have a job that I love, and I have people that are listening to my podcast, and I am healthy, and my family's healthy, and I want to focus on that for a while, and I got to work on some stuff with me. I need to drink more water because I did an episode called The Crypt Keeper, and let me tell you, I'll be walking by. This is why I can't have like a mirror in my house, and when I am in the bathroom, I'm just gonna have to be like, oh God. But I walk by, I'll see a reflection of myself, and I'm like, oh no, that can't be me. Ugh. And that's the thing too, is I think that being angry makes you ugly. Anger is not attractive. Being negative is not attractive. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to put people off. So I'm going to not do that. It doesn't mean I'm not going to talk about politics. It doesn't mean I'm going to bury my head in the sand and pretend like nothing is going on and that things are hunky-dory. And, again, I will keep myself educated. And right now, though, I honestly haven't, I think it's been like a week since I've been on social media. So I genuinely have no idea. I haven't been watching TV or anything. So I don't really know what's going on, but I like that. I know what's going on right now I just watched a hummingbird fly and is currently eating out of a hummingbird feeder. And earlier today, there were 2 hummingbirds flying around. Hey. There were 2 hummingbirds flying around. And I know that I had a really lovely talk with a gentleman earlier today. And I know that I went on a walk and I saw a lot of adorable dogs, and people said hi or tipped their hat to me, which I've, been talking about how I like. And so, on social media, it paints people to be everybody can't stand each other. We are all against each other. And there are certainly a lot of people out there that are against each other. And there certainly is a lot of evil and a lot of anger and a lot of hateful people right now. That's for sure. And there's a lot of division and it's scary. But I can tell you that when I've been out walking around, I am running into very kind people. And I can tell you that when, no matter where I'm walking around, I almost always run into at least one person, at least one, that says hi and is pleasant and kind. And I don't know. Right now, I just need to be in that space, again, because April is kind of a bummer of a month. And I'm already, at some point, you can't just be like, oh, this is my, 15th year anniversary of my mom's passing. I think it is incredibly important. I'm not saying that I should forget about it. I'm not saying that I shouldn't remember her on her birthday or remember her on her passing or any time in between. Anytime I feel like it, I remember her every day. I remember my dad every day. I remember my dog and my grandparents and my aunts and uncles and my family members. But at some point, I can't be bummed out every single day on that day. At some point, I have to, I do a lot of talking to my family members, not just on their birthday or the day they passed, but all the time, whenever I feel like it, whenever they're on my mind or whenever I just feel like it, I will just talk to them. And so I can't just forever be paralyzed by the month of April or any other month that people have passed and stuff. And I don't know. That said, I still, remember the days. I just try not to, let it consume me, So I'm like, well, I love birds. And I sat and watched the birds for a while, and it was quite lovely, actually. It's very interesting. There's a robin right now looking for some worms. I just watered the grass, so he's checking out some birds. Oh, man, he just picked up a leaf and tossed it aside like, get the frick out of here. But I don't know, I am focused on the beautiful day. What on earth? Anyway, enough of that. I'm being very boring. But, I can say this. I was all excited. I was going to take a bath and do the whole thing where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get my feet all pretty, get my hands all pretty, get my nails all pretty, and, do something with myself and file my nails and all that good stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to do a face mask, and I might even get real wild and crazy and paint my nails and paint my toes. Although I can't stand painting my nails because I can't hold it. Even though, again, I was born a lefty, I was made to use my right hand for so long that now I can't really hold nail polish that well, or the nail polish holder, the brush with my left hand and paint my right hand. It doesn't work very well. But anyway, I wanted to do all this, but the tub stopper thingy is not working and it's not holding water. So I'm bummed out because I don't like baths because I think baths and pools are nasty and hot tubs are gross. But I was watching Cougar Town and it cracked me up because I'm kind of like that. But then I also don't want to waste water. So I'm conscientious about not doing this, but it's what I want to do. I want to, in theory, take a bath, soak, get all relaxed, and then take a quick shower to actually clean myself. But that wastes a lot of water, so I don't do that. But anyway, point is, I wanted to kind of be a girl. I was going to wash my face and put on a mask and maybe even pluck my eyebrows. But now the problem is I can't see. I'm blind as a bat and I wear glasses. Well, you can't wear glasses and pluck your eyebrows. That doesn't really work. So I'm like, well, fuck, what am I supposed to do, man? So have someone else pluck my eyebrows? That's weird. I feel like we're monkeys. I feel like we're little monkeys. I have to and who do you ask to pluck your eyebrows? I guess your friends. I guess good friends will pluck each other's eyebrows. I had a friend that cracked me up when we were younger. I don't know. We were probably 21 to 23-ish. I don't know. Somewhere in there. Doesn't matter. Young. I have no breasts. I have very small, I have a small chest. Okay. And when I was younger, I had a little bit larger of a chest than I do now. Believe it or not, after I had kids, I lost my boobs. I never had a lot of boobs to begin with, but I had a lot more before I had children. Somehow after I had children, they deflated. I know that people want to hear these things, so I'll move on. But the point is, one of my friends who does have a rack on her, she's got quite large breasts, was showing me all these tricks. And I was like, I already know what to do, man. I've heard all the tricks. She's like, no, you got to try this one. And she was showing me this thing where you like take a sock and you like roll up a sock in a certain way and you put it like not even in your bra, but like, or you put it in your bra, but you like under your boob, you like lift up your boob and put it under there and all these different things. And I'm like, wow, so many different tricks. And, of course, there's also just getting a good supportive bra and stuff. But here's my point to all of that. I'm sure you guys are like, yeah, we don't need to hear about your bra. It's funny to me that girls with each other, like while we were doing this, I was full on having her like, I was lifting up my boob and she was like sticking the sock under there. And we were like, and girls just don't think anything of this. This is just what we do. Like, I don't know. And like, it's pretty common to hear of a girl that's at least kissed another girl. And it just cracks me up because I'm always like, men, I feel like they don't do, I mean, not that they pamper anyways, but it's like, what do men do that we don't know about with each other that would seem, funny if we knew? Like they certainly aren't going to, again, they're not going to brush each other's hair because really what are you going to do with a man's hair? You're not really going to put on makeup. So there's not a whole lot men could do with each other, I guess. They could help each other with a tie or something, but they're not going to help each other with a jock strap, I guess is what I'm trying to say. They're not going to be like, here you go, dude. Here, let me try to get your balls right in there. Let me just get your cup. Let me get everything all nice and situated for you. No, because number one, they don't need help. And if you're asking for help with your cup, I feel like there's something else going on. And maybe you need to address that, But, I don't know. But maybe men do this. I don't know. This just went through my mind. I know that's a weird thing. People are like, how on God's green earth did we start talking about cups and boobs? I don't know. Because these are the things that cross through my mind, all right? In any given moment, I could go from talking about square dancing to a jockstrap, So, actually, though, for real, speaking of square dancing, honestly, I was watching that show that was only on, I think, for like 2 seasons. And it's the one where Dax Shepard and Lake something, and they go to Nebraska. They're from New York, and they get God bless this mess, something. Anyway, it was hilarious because on the show, they were talking about square dancing. And I was like, people give square dancing, like people make fun of square dancing. But I grew up when I was a kid. I don't care what people think of this. It was fun. I grew up square dancing with the actual hoop skirt and everything. And I thought it was so effing fun. And I loved wearing those square dancing skirts. I thought they were fantastic. I was like 10 years old and I thought it was the best thing in the whole world. I also used to bowl when I was like the same age group from like 8 to like 12. I was a bowler and a square dancer and I had the best time. And so I don't think people, and then when I was in high school, being in band and being in choir and being in like plays and stuff, being in drama was considered popular. Like we didn't have anything that was considered popular or not popular. Like if you were in sports and you were a jock, awesome. If you were in band, cool. In fact, a lot of people were, they would be in a sport and be in drama. They'd be, my particular class had the highest GPA that went through the high school until my oldest son's class went through. And we started like different clubs and, very like active people. And we had jocks and we had cowboys and we had surfers and we had stoners and everybody was popular. It kind of went by, again, if you were a dick or not, really. It kind of just went by if you were an asshole, I don't know. So I love that, I love the people that just embrace who they are and they don't give a crap. And, even in high school, even in middle school, where it is hard because people will bully you. Again, I didn't really go to a high school that a lot of that happened, and maybe people are like, oh, maybe you just didn't see it. I'm not saying it didn't happen at all, especially in middle school. In middle school, it did. I was bullied a couple of times, but I am very much the person that's like, bring it. You're not going to, you may bully me today, but you're not bullying me tomorrow, because no, I ain't the one. But I feel like, I don't know, I was pretty fortunate in our school. Again, we had kids we didn't like, and we had kids that didn't get along, but there was a period of time where people would go out back, and there was like a smoking area, because this is back in the days where there weren't vape pens, number one, and people would, you could still smoke inside your house, and you could still smoke in restaurants. I think you could even still smoke in planes I remember when you could still smoke in planes, which kills me. That's so insane to me. That just seems so dangerous on 1,000 levels. But people would fight, and then especially guys, they would fight and then like help each other up and then brush each other off and not brush each other off, but brush off and be like, all right, are we done, man? And then girls wouldn't, though. Girls would go batshit crazy. But it was weird because that didn't happen often, but I also didn't go to a huge school. I went to a pretty small school. So, maybe it's that. I did go to a gigantic middle school at first before I moved, and maybe there's bullying going on, but I'm the kind of person that I believe the way to handle a bully is first talk to them and be like, hey, I'm not going to do this. Let's just, there's nothing to fight about. If you don't like me, we can talk about it, or we can just, not like each other and go our separate ways. And I'll try to talk it out, and I'll try to work it out first. It's always good to talk first. But then I feel like after you do that, after you try talking and you try, if you're in school, telling an adult, after you do that, sorry, but I 100% say you deal with a bully by the same way they deal with you. You be like, listen, I'm going to punch you if you continue. I'm going to knock you out. I've tried talking. I've tried telling an adult. I've tried handling it civilly. But now I'm just going to punch you. So I highly suggest you be quiet, and you give them a warning. And then if they continue, then you knock their fucking asses out. That's how you handle a bully. And that's what Trump's doing with Iran, if you ask me. He's like, how you handle a bully? We've tried talking. We've tried a lot of things. We've tried being civil. And now we're not going to talk anymore. We're going to do just enough to hurt you, enough to go, okay, so are you done now? Are you ready to listen? Because we've got more. We haven't even started. We have not even started. And Biden never did that, unfortunately, and neither did Obama. Biden just caved and said, okay, how do you handle a bully? You fund them. You bow to them. You act like weak sauce. You cower. And that's not going to work. And that is what Europe did. Europe is like, all right, we'll give you our lunch money. Just don't hurt us. Just open up the Strait of Hormuz again. And I get it, but this wouldn't have happened, and you wouldn't have to pay an obscene amount of money if you joined forces with America and you knocked that fucking bully on his ass. Because the bully has already been warned and warned and warned and warned. And now they're like, clearly you are all talk. You're all talk and no action. And so now this bully has gotten too big for its britches, and it's now making other people cower, and they're like, boo. And now Europe is like, ah. And they're running with their tail between their legs. And that's chicken shit move, Europe. Man, what the hell? I'm getting a lot of listeners from Germany and France, and I am totally, like I said, this is not against the people. It is against against the government. And I've said before, I don't think Trump's perfect. I don't think America's perfect. I don't think humans are perfect. So I just think that was a chicken shit move. And I think that if we would have joined forces, if we were allies, you take out a bully by being like, no, we're not going anywhere. We're staying here. So if you want to bring it, then fucking okay. Then let's do this. But I'm warning you right now, we've tried talking, last chance, dude. And then if that bully is like, no, well then first you do what Trump did, and you're like, all right, there you go. I've taken out like your regime, most of it. Obviously, there's still some left. So now what are you going to do, punk? Now what? Because that's with us barely trying. So now imagine if we're actually trying. Do you want that? And Trump is not just going to talk. So I feel like that's just how you handle things in life, you know? And that's how people with like these adrenaline things are just like, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to do it. They're like, bonsai! And they just jump off that cliff, man. Those people that do those base jumps and stuff and those like, looks like flying squirrels. That's some crazy shit. Man. And then they're like, at least I died doing what I love. And I'm like, I mean, I guess that's true. True. I'm not holding back anybody doing the things they want to do. I mean, unless, again, it's illegal, you know, harms others. But otherwise, hey, you do you. You know what's really cool? That more and more people are listening to my podcast. I woke up and I have something like, it was like 100 people, which people are like 100 people in a day. I get 100 people in like an hour listening to my podcast. And that's awesome. And that is awesome for you. And I hope you continue on with being super successful. For me, I am getting the most listeners I have ever had. And I so honestly, genuinely, it really, really means the world to me. It really does. I know that, again, I say this all the time, but I feel like it needs to be said that I'm aware that I talk into my cell phone. I'm doing a podcast talking into my cell phone, and you can't see my face, and you can hear the dogs bark and people with a weed eater and the cars driving by. But, you know, you can also hear birds and crickets and frogs, and you can hear some lovely things too, which is pretty soothing, right? And I know I get unhinged and I cry and I scream and I, you know, get a little politically incorrect. But you know, that's just, again, these are things that keep me up, and I'm just being me, and I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and I'm definitely not going to be a podcast that not everyone likes, of course. And there are a lot of other podcasts out there that I'm sure are much better than mine. And so to everybody out there that listens, whether it's one time or 5 times or 40 times, or I've been here since the beginning, it really means the world to me. I hope you know that. And I was trying to get on YouTube and TikTok and X and Facebook and all of that, but I'm really not getting, I think I'm being shadow banned big time. But I still post things on X periodically, and my podcasts do go out on YouTube. But I kind of gave up on TikTok. It's ridiculous for censorship, and same with Facebook. YouTube actually is censors big time, so I just put my podcasts out there on there. But thank you, honestly. It's truly awesome that so many people have been finding me and feel like I'm worth listening to, because, again, I know that this isn't quality. You know, I realize that. So thank you. Currently, I'm sitting here doing this with a tooth that's hurting so bad. It's going into my nerves. It's my nerves, and it's radiating down into my jaw and then also up along my jawbone into my eye. And it's all swollen, and that's fun because I don't have insurance right now. So, yay! That's going to be another thing. I can't talk. That is going to be another thing keeping me up. Tooth pain, which is not cool, man. Not cool. What else? Basically, I just wanted to say, look, to all those out there that are doing you, whether you is, you know, someone that reads a lot, someone that's an adrenaline junkie, someone that plays by the rules, someone that's a farmer, someone that's city folk, you know, a Republican, a liberal, a Democrat, a Catholic, Jehovah Witness, an atheist, whether you're short, tall, skinny, chunky, whatever. I'm glad that there are people out there that have different opinions and that look different, because obviously how boring is it if we're all trying to do the same thing, you know? That's a pretty dang boring life, right? And shout out to people out there that don't care what other people think about them. Again, I mean that as in like, don't be a dick. Like, don't hurt others. Don't go out of your way to harm people or, you know, project your insecurities onto others and like be a bully. But if you're out there and you're just like, I'm going to do me and I'm going to try to live this life, even if it's doing things that might scare me, even if it's conquering a fear, like that's fucking awesome because I don't have that and I love that. I mean, I've conquered fears. I'll do that, but I'm not going to go bungee jumping anytime soon. No. It's a whole trust thing, you know, but I love that people have that. There's other things I'll try, but that ain't one of them. I don't know. Every time I get on and do this podcast, it's me putting myself out there because, you know, I've had this podcast for a long time and I know I say a lot of things, but it's a big deal for me to get on here and talk about stuff. And, you know, again, that's why I do it on my cell phone because I pace and I walk around and I have to be like, I can't just be sitting here alone with my thoughts and like talking on a laptop because that makes me crazy. My mind is just always going and I want something to calm me down. You know, if I'm riding a horse or taking pictures or around animals, I seem to be calmer because of course you have to be around animals. You can't be projecting that anxiety onto them. That's not fair. And if I'm taking pictures, I can focus, but I like walking around when I'm doing my podcast because I've got all that nervous energy and people think that I'm not shy because I'll talk a lot, but more often than not, I talk a lot and I talk fast because I'm nervous or because I feel like I have to keep talking because I don't want it to be awkward, you know? I don't know. Even though I want nothing more than to just go. But again, if someone comes up to me and they're a stranger and they want to talk, I want them to be able to talk to me. I want them to be able to, you know, again, I always look at it like, what if they have no one to talk to? What if today they just needed somebody? I want them to have somebody. What if I'm that somebody? I don't want to walk away from them, you know? So I listen. But I'm actually shy in a lot of ways. And me doing this podcast is a big deal, put it that way. But I know eventually I need to step it up and not be doing this into my cell phone, nor do I need to, and I shouldn't be doing it into my cell phone. And what I should be doing is having it in a video like everybody else in a laptop and putting it up on YouTube where people can see my face. But like I said, I look like the Crypt Keeper in ew. I do social media videos, so people are probably like, well, you do social media posts, and that's true, but that's because I need people to know my podcast, and I need people to hear about my podcast, and I need to gain traction so people will hear about my podcast. Otherwise, I wouldn't even do those videos on social media at all. But I have to so that people can hear about my podcast. Unless you guys go out and tell everybody, which would be super awesome. I would love that. Not telling you what to do, not trying to make you, you know, do things you don't want to do. No force, no pressure. But if you feel like telling someone about the ramblings of an insomniac, I would love that. I would appreciate it. I'd high five you if I could. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So it says it's 72 degrees outside. My eyeballs are absolutely starting to fade because I think I slept maybe 3 hours last night. And not in a row, my friends. Not in a row, okay? That's like half an hour here, 20 minutes there kind of thing. So I feel like I am drunk off my ass right now. And to be clear, I have not had a sip. I started to say a lick. I have not had a lick of alcohol. I have not even had a sip of alcohol. I am just really freaking tired, though. Oh, I could go to bed right now. And that's not good because it's early. It's a little after 6 o'clock and I am exhausted right now because I have not been sleeping. Anyway, so maybe that is a good area to say I got to go because I feel like this podcast has been dragging on. This is the podcast that never ends and it goes on and on, my friend. Because once you start listening, not knowing what it was. Okay, anyway, sorry. I had to get the singing in there. I feel like I haven't sang on a podcast in a long time. So, you know, oh my God, the hummingbirds are so freaking cute. God, I love watching it. I still cannot believe that bird That bird that just like chilled out on my hand and like hopped up to it and let me hold it for a very long time and pet it. And like I said, it had to like hop up 2 very deep, long, spread out steps into a long like entryway before you could get into the door, and it was up there. So if it stunned itself where the windows were, I feel like it would have fallen under the window. It wouldn't have been able to get over to where the steps are, hop up these 2 large, widespread steps, and then hopped all the way over to where the front door is. But maybe it did. I don't know. Regardless, that was pretty awesome. That was pretty awesome. I felt like Mother Nature, I'm not going to lie. Anyway, I am just babbling right now because I'm tired and I'm not sure how to end this. And I'm realizing that if you can't sleep, if you guys can't sleep at night, listen to this episode because yawn. Holy shit. I just realized I have been like Snoozeville. Like this is not a very spicy jalapeno podcast. I'm sorry. I'm going to debate if I'm going to put this out or not, but I apologize in advance. I hope you're not listening to this while you're operating heavy equipment. Don't operate machinery and listen to this particular episode. If you do want to go to sleep or you need to be calm, you could listen to this episode because it might put you into a coma though. So we don't want that. Anyway, hey, I appreciate you. And I hope that wherever you are and whatever you're doing, it's going well. And I hope you have support. I hope you have a friend and someone you can talk to if you need it, because mental health right now there's a lot of cuckoo out there in the world, a lot of cuckoo. And I feel like part of that is people don't have someone to talk to. That is why I genuinely don't deny people when they are strangers and they start talking to me and telling me their life story in the grocery store. Because I'm like, maybe they really need that. Maybe they were about ready to go shoot up something. I don't know. Maybe they were going to harm themselves. Maybe they've been depressed and they just need just one person to listen to them. So, I think it's important that we help each other out, that we build each other up. We don't need to tear each other down. And women, we tend to do that a lot. Women tend to really tear each other down, and we need to be there for each other. We need to have each other's backs, especially because there's a lot of men trying to infiltrate sports and bathrooms and stuff. So women really need to band together now more than ever, So Wonder Twin powers, activate, form of an iceberg. Okay, just kidding. Anyways, Gen Xers will get that. Everybody else will be like, what in the fuck? She needs some sleep. Someone get her some milk. She needs some milk. Anyway, the delusions are setting in. So, I'm getting loopy. The Fruit Loops are kicking in. So, my point is, I hope you have support, and I hope you have someone that can, be a sounding board for you, be a shoulder to cry on. And if you need a hug, I hope you have someone that will give you a hug. They'll be like, fuck yeah, bring it in, Anyway, thank you so much. I'm wishing you the best day, afternoon, evening, whatever the case may be. And I really hope you do tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a partner, tell a coworker. More and more people have been listening. So people, I think, are doing it. There are clearly someone is getting the word out. So whoever it is and whoever they are, I'm sure it's not one person, obviously. So I appreciate everybody that's been listening and has told someone else about my podcast. And now they're tuning in. Let's do that. Let's keep that up, man. Let's keep that up. I like it. All right. Thank you so much. Until next time.